Burn, baby, burn. Woo! What's going on, y'all? You're now watching the greatest channel that has ever existed. My name is 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘵, and I truly appreciate you for being here with me. So what we're going to talk about today is the burn mechanism and the new token by Jack Levin called NEX, which is the opposite of Zen. Okay, so burn, burn, burn. And in order to get this token, you have to be able to burn Zen token in order to get NEX token. Now, how exactly does this work in detail? Good thing that you asked. I'm going to show you how to do this right now. Let me minimize this a little bit. Oh, look at that. I'm pretty small. And we have this really dramatically long, huge flow chart. So these are the Nexonomics. These are the new way that they've been able to describe how the burning mechanism and the creation of the NEX token starts. There's 4 mechanisms of this entire protocol, okay? First, we have the supply distribution that happens over 5 years. That's up here. Then we have the daily 24-hour round that happens obviously every 24 hours of the NEX being distributed to the public market. Next, we have the stake terms, the penalties, and the yield that you receive for staking your NEX token. And then finally, we have how these reflection yield streams are occurred, how they combine together to then redistribute it back to the rest of the market. So let's start with the very beginning. We have the supply distribution. What happens is that NEX is distributed over the course of 5 years, and 100 million NEX tokens are going to come out. Now, this is not 100% written in stone. All of this is subject to change. In fact, they made a bunch of different typos in this. They're very small typos, so you might not be able to notice them. But this is just pretty much 90% of what is going to happen with the NEX token and with Zen. So starting right here, the user experience is that you burn Zen, you claim NEX, and then you stake that NEX for a period of a very long time. So we start off with 100 NEX tokens. 80% of those NEX tokens go into the 24-hour rounds and the NEX claim distribution, okay? 20% of those tokens go into bonuses, into bonus mints. These bonus mints are for Apex holders and the monthly highest burners, okay? So let's go to this 80% section. Every single day, these 80% reduces the amount that is distributed by 1%. So the very first day, 10,000 NEX is distributed. The second day, 9,900 NEX is distributed. The third day is 8,900 NEX is distributed, on and on and on until we get to day 1,825, which is exactly 5 years from now, where only 100 NEX is distributed to the entire ecosystem on that day. Okay, so we have 2 people. Let's just say that we have 2 people that are participating in the distribution. These 2 people, in order to get the distribution of the 10,000 NEX of the first day, they have to burn Zen. Okay, so the first person, called 𝘊𝘰𝘯𝘦, burnt 1 billion Zen. The second person burnt 2 billion Zen. So because the distribution is fair, the more that you burn, the more that you get. The person that burned 2 billion Zen right here gets 66% of the 10,000, or 6,700 Zen. The person that burned 1 billion Zen only gets 33%, and therefore they only get 3,300 Zen. They get 3,300 NEX, okay? So the important thing to remember is that this Zen that is burned and that you get the NEX from this burned Zen is not 100% burned immediately, okay? So this Zen that comes through in the 24-hour participation, 70% of that Zen is burned, okay? So what happens to the other 30%? Well, that 30% then goes to the yield pool, okay? And this yield pool is given out to the wider market. Now, this 30% from the yield pool, which is part Zen and part NEX, and I'm going to explain later on how that is next, how the next part comes in. But let's just say that Zen that comes from here goes down to the participation, 30% goes here, goes to the yield pool. This Zen is transformed into NEX, and then we are giving this NEX to the NEX stakers. So there's a transaction that happens, there's an exchange that happens that turns that Zen to NEX. Then we give it to the NEX stakers. Now these NEX stakers, what they have to do is that they come all the way up here. You can either decide to stake it for as long as 10 years, or you can decide to not stake it at all and immediately get your NEX tokens as soon as you do this burn mechanism. So you burn the Zen, it transforms to Next, and then you can decide to get that NEX token immediately. That's why it's called day 0. Now, if you decide to get your NEX tokens immediately, you forfeit 30%, aka you only receive 70% of the 𝘰's value in the next form. Okay, so you only receive 70% of the NEX tokens that you would have gotten. And then you don't get any percent of the NEX claim that comes from staking your NEX. Because you decided to do it immediately, you don't get any new NEX stake, okay? But if you decide to stake your NEX token for 10 years, the maximum amount, you have no penalty, so you receive all of your NEX token. In addition to that, you get 100% of the additional NEX that you get from staking it, okay? Now, this is subject to change, like I said before, so these numbers might combobulate a little bit. So let's say that you claim it for 1 or 2 days, or you claim it for like a year. Your penalty won't be as high as 30%. Your penalty may be like 10% or maybe 20%, something like that. And then your next claim will be high. Maybe you'll get about 10% or 20% of the total staking claim that you could have possibly gotten if you had done it over 10 years. All right. And it increases in an exponential rate, let's say logarithmic rate, slowly, higher and higher, the amount that you get. Okay. So the longer that you stake, the more next token that you can get. Let's see these other parts. Okay. So the penalty that you get, that 30% that you lose goes back into the yield pool. Right? If you decide to immediately claim your next token, that 30% that you don't get goes back into this pool called unstaking penalties. And then it goes back to the yield pool and is distributed back to other people. It goes back to the people they stake for 10 years, or maybe they stake for 1 day, or they stake for 2 years or whatever. Okay. They get part of that next token that you decided to release back into the market because you wanted to get your next token immediately. Okay. In addition to that, when you do transactions, look at this part right here. When you do transactions, when you exchange Next for any other coin, there's a transaction fee of 0.25%. So let's say that there's 10 million Next that is transacted every single day. Of course, it's not going to be that high, but let's just use for example's sake that 10 million NEX is exchanged in 1 day. 20,000 of those NEX tokens will go back into this yield pool as NEX transaction fees, okay? And so we have 3 parts: the NEX transaction fees, the unstaking penalties from here, and the total participation every 24 hours from the people that burn 𝘰 to get NEX would then all go to this yield pool. Now, this yield pool will transform to 𝘰, and this yield pool will have Next, and it transforms everything to Next. These Next tokens always go to the Next stakers. They only go to the Next stakers. And this happens over and over again from 3 different parts. Okay, you got it? Good. If you don't understand it, rewind it again, look at it again, and read this PDF. I'm going to have a PDF down in the description. Okay. Now, what happens to the other 20% that I talked about at the very beginning? The 20% of the supply that just constantly goes out to the ecosystem, right? Constantly comes out from the protocol. They go to the claimable bonus mints. Now, 50% of this 20%, aka 10% of the total supply of the Next, goes to Apex holders. So if you minted an Apex NFT, you will be part of the 10%, aka 10 million Next, that is distributed to everyone over the next 5 years. Now, of this 10% that you get, of this 10 million 𝘰, 6% of it will go to the entire 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘦 holders. 29% will go to exotic holders, 32% to legendary owners, on and on and on. This is only for Apex 𝘰 holders, okay? Now you're like, why does the most rarest people receive only 6%? Well, that's because 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘦 holders, there's only 100 of them. Meanwhile, there's thousands of exotic holders, okay? So that's why it's a little bit higher, 29%. But in reality, the people that own 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘦 still get more than the people that own exotic, okay? Read right here, it says the allocation is based on the burned amounts. And in fact, let me zoom in a little bit. The allocation is based on the zoom amounts, okay? So 6%, 29%, 32%, 19%, and then 13%. The other 10 million, right, half of the 20%, 50% of the 20% goes to the top 100 total burners of that month. So this is a game theory. This is almost a leaderboard gamification of the entire process, where the top 100 people get the 10 million Zen that is released over the next 5 years. Okay. And this happens every single month. So this is every single month over the next 5 years. 5 times 12 is 60. So 60 times 100 people. So 60 times over the next 5 years, the top 100 people will receive 50% of the 10 million Zen coins that is distributed out to the open market. Okay, so let's review this quickly again. We start right here. 80% of the 100 million NEX tokens is distributed day by day by day in a decreasing value, in a logarithmic decreasing value over the next 5 years, or maybe it's an exponentially decreasing value over the next 5 years. On the first day, for example, we receive 10,000 NEX coins. If only 2 people participate in this protocol, the person that burned 2 billion Zen tokens will receive 67%. The person that burned 1 billion Zen tokens will then receive 33%, because the more that you burn, the more that you receive. All this Zen is not immediately burned. This Zen, only 70% of it is immediately burned. The other 30% goes to the yield pool. This yield pool receives other Zen and other NEX from unstaking penalties and NEX transaction fees. Okay, so this yield pool then takes the NEX and is shown to the NEX stakers. These NEX stakers receive yield for staking their NEX. So follow this line. If you decide to not do any staking of your NEX at all, you receive none of the benefits, none of the claim rewards for staking. You'll have a 30% penalty of your NEX, meaning that you'll only receive 70% of your NEX. If you decide to stake, maybe let's say 1 year, you will receive a little bit higher of your NEX. Okay, so instead of 70%, you'll receive like something like 80%. And the extra NEX that you get to claim as a reward for staking won't be 0. It'll be something like 10% or 20%. The maximum amount that you can stake is for 10 years, and you'll receive 100% of the bonus NEX that you get for staking it. Okay. Finally, 50% of the 20% of the NEX that's distributed out goes to Apex holders, and the other 50% goes to the top 100 Zen burners every single month. Okay. So this is really awesome. This is really good game theory, game economics. This is really cool. Now that I think about it, this encourages competition and encourages people to use this constantly. And I'm showing you this because I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Watch this video all the way up here. Let's get this money. Special announcement. I'm now participating with CoinLedger and Ledger Wallet. CoinLedger allows you to have your taxes accumulated together, and it quickly and efficiently estimates the amount of taxes that you need to pay every single year or throughout the year. So it makes it so much easier for you. Secondly, we have Ledger Wallet that allows you to keep your cryptocurrency to yourself so that these random companies that promise that they were going to keep your currency doesn't magically lose it. You have total control, not your keys, not your coin. So click the 2 links below so you can sign up for CoinLedger and you can get a Ledger Wallet.